But there's a 0% chance you drive across the entire country without stopping to refuel. So why do we not refuel in our life? You just keep going and going and going and adding and adding and adding, and you're pushing this intensity meter to the highest degree. And if you push the intensity meter to the highest degree and you don't balance that with rest, you're going to end up on E. And when you're on E, you can get out of the car and push it the rest of the way, or just walk on foot, or get a bicycle, or pay for another ride. But that's not the most efficient use of your time. Welcome to the Hidden Summit podcast. My name is Kevin, and I'm your host. I used to be 300 pounds, and somehow, some way, I found it within myself to take one step in a direction of positive growth. And now, looking back 16 years later, I want to bring you the experiences that I've had, the thoughts that I've had, the mistakes that I've made along the way, so you can take action and put yourself in a position to win every single day. We're going to talk about fitness, nutrition, and everything in between. The only thing I'm ever going to ask you to do is subscribe and share this with somebody who you might think would benefit from what we talked about today. Last thing, remember, if you learned one thing on today's episode, take that and apply it today, because that's how we become better and see progress over time. Good morning, welcome back. My name is Kevin, and this is my show. Typically, I talk about things that have to do with fitness, nutrition, and sometimes things that happen in between, which is what we're going to get back into today. We've been going through my Progress Over Time series, which is a series of topics to help you build positive habits throughout the course of your day, every day, to build the life that you want. A lot of that has to do with fitness and nutrition, but it can be applied into many other areas in your life as well. So, where do we leave off? We left off with building momentum in your life by making small, seemingly insignificant decisions, and understanding that if you are going all in on your fitness and nutrition, for example, that does not mean you are your fitness or nutrition, right? Next time you meet somebody, the first thing you're not going to say to them is, "Hey, did you know what my protein goal is for the day, and that I hit it or I didn't hit it?" You're a human being and you have a lot of things going on in your life, and that's the direction I want to take this today. And oftentimes at this point in the journey, when we're building momentum or adding things to our power list and we're seeing results happen, people experience burnout. I've experienced burnout, right, with work and my finances and training and being sick and tired of tracking macros, right? There are moments where you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore. And I want to try and help you avoid that, or at least recognize it so you can do something to avoid a total burnout, which is difficult because we have a million different things going on every single day. But I've come up with this thought process, this scale to balance both the things in our life that are intense and when we deserve or need to, or it would benefit us to take some rest. So what I've done is did this amazing drawing. You're gonna get used to my amazing drawings. And on one side we have energy, and the other side we have rest and intensity. So before I get into the drawings and how we're going to use that to visualize ourselves in a purposeful position, which is the thought behind all of this. What is our purpose and what are we working towards? How do we reference back to that? How do we understand that it doesn't have to be perfect, but perfect purpose is better? What I want you to understand is that if you have all these different things going on in your life and you've prioritized what's important to you and you're learning how to say no to certain things, it is okay to be extremely intense or use intensity at some points, and it is okay to practice mindfulness, rest, clarity, perspective. So when I say the word intensity, what do you think of? Do you think of a CrossFit workout? Do you think of a marathon runner running their fastest pace? Do you think of meditation? Do you think of actually looking at the details? Do you think about slowing things down and being as present as totally possible? It works in both ways. And I think there's an intensity to each, and they each serve their purpose on this journey. And sometimes a chaotic situation can be intense, right? Sometimes something out of your control can be intense. But I want you to think about this intensity as meaningful and purposeful attention to detail in a situation, whether it be through effort or mindset, physical or mental, because what matters most is that when you train the mind, the body will follow, but when you train the body, the mind tends to follow as well. So which is right? I think they're both right. Okay, so now that we understand rest and intensity a little bit more, this is your energy scale, right? And we can say that we're starting to, let's pretend we had a really good night's sleep, and let's pretend we have this full tank of gas, right? We were up here with our energy to start the day. And as you go through the day, it probably dips down a little bit, and dips down a little bit, and dips down a little bit. And eventually we're running on E, which is not what we want to do. Imagine you have a car and your car is running out of gas, which looks like this over here. And I have to drive, right? Or you have to drive from your destination across the country. At some point along the way, you're going to stop to pick up gas. Maybe you use the bathroom, maybe you get lunch. If you have an electric car like me, maybe you're charging and it takes a little longer, so you watch a Netflix episode or listen to a different podcast, whatever it is. But there's a 0% chance you drive across the entire country without stopping to refuel. So why do we not refuel in our life? You just keep going and going and going and adding and adding and adding, and you're pushing this intensity meter to the highest degree. And if you push the intensity meter to the highest degree and you don't balance that with rest, you're going to end up on E. And when you're on E, you can get out of the car and push it the rest of the way, or just walk on foot, or get a bicycle, or pay for another ride. But that's not the most efficient use of your time, because you want to get to the final destination. And in this journey, you're here and you want to get to over here, right? So we need to bridge that gap by making this path, this journey, as efficient as possible. Now, what it's really going to look like is you're going to see some bumps in the road, and some falls, and some bumps, and some falls, and then it's going to go good for a little while, and then you'll have a really big push, and then you'll fall down, and then you might dip a little bit, or you might go backwards, or you might go back here, and then you're going to get there eventually. I want to avoid the chaos, and I want to make that as smooth as possible. So even if that's just a little up and down along the way, that's what we want to get to at the end of this call. And the reason why we do that is by gaining perspective and purpose and intention. So once you know, let's go back to the beginning. Once you know your why, once you have your vision, once you know how you're going to get it done, once you understand that effort is really important to focus on what it is that you're doing. And by effort, I don't necessarily mean more intensity, but the seamlessness of it all is going to help you out. And then we build momentum in doing these hard things, especially on days that you don't want to, using this thing called integrity, when no one's watching you because you said it was important for you to get to the final destination, and you're all the way back over here. One little thing every single day to move yourself in a direction of positive growth. That's what this is all about. I don't want you to experience burnout or any of these big crashes. So when you're pushing with this intensity forever and ever and ever, I want you to start to pay attention to when you end up on E over here. Because if you're on E, how can you be your best self? You can't. Something's going to either be messed up along the way, or you're just not going to do it, which is going to make you feel a certain type of way. And we want to avoid those feelings by seeing ourselves move forward. So we want to find how we can rest. So imagine, I can't really draw a moving image, but imagine we're staying in the sweet spot and we're balancing between the two of energy, of rest and intensity. Now, rest can be very simple. It can be a second. Literally, an autonomic breath is something that has helped me through so many difficult moments where I felt burnt out, tired, exhausted, all the above. And what we're going to do with this autonomic breath is take a huge breath in through our nose, and then a little bit more, and then let it all out through your mouth. And just relax. And the point of this is to reset the central nervous system for a moment, right? You'll feel this instant relaxation and clarity and awareness when you just take a breath. And I think that we have a lot to learn from breathing I don't think it's the be all and end all of everything. Well, we need to do it to survive. But I do believe in moments of chaos and fatigue, exhaustion, close to E, it would help us to at least take a breath. Now, that breath can turn into 5 minutes of breathing, which would be amazing. I would love it if you did that every single day. It can mean you go for a walk around the block and just stop everything that you're doing to reset your mind and your body, right? Think about this physically, right? When we're doing things with intensity, physically, there's a point where you cannot train the same way anymore. Meaning that if I were to go train legs every single day for a week, by Friday, I would not have a good leg workout. If I went in with the utmost intensity and pushed at 100% every day, I would even say I'll give myself Monday and Tuesday. By Wednesday, I'm not having a good workout. I'm overly sore. I'm not mobile. I'm not moving myself the best to my ability. My legs are shot. It's hard to walk around. It's hard to sit down in this chair, use the bathroom. How does that help us reach our goals? Why do we balance our body throughout the week, whether it be a traditional split or a full body split or whatever it is that you do? Why do we do different things? Because we need to let our areas of our body rest. The same thing is important and matter of fact with your life. Why do we beat ourselves up to do too many things every single day without pulling back, right? So I want you to think of it as this way. The same thing. If we were to rest every single day, if we were to be on the other side of the scale, over here, we're not going to see any physical progress and put on muscle. We're not going to put ourselves in a position to burn more calories. We're not going to put ourselves in a position to lose fat and lose weight and have the body that we want, perform the way that we want to. We need to balance both the intensity side of it and the rest side of it. So we're going back and forth. Now, if you add in micro rest periods, like I do 10 minutes of meditation every single morning, just to clear my head and set myself up for success before the day. I feel calm, collected, assertive, confident, and I'm ready to go into the day. But if I woke up and started going on social media and I started scrolling and check my emails, what's going to happen is I'm going to be stressed and I'm not going to be able to physically or mentally focus on anything. And my energy is going to drain from well rested and ready to go to almost empty before the day even starts. So how does this come into practice? Well, you need to practice. You need to, it would benefit you. I don't want to say you should, because that's shitting on you. But it would benefit you to start to comprehend what your capacity is. When do you need to refill your tank? When you're training with the body and the body gets tired, do something with the mind. It can be reading. It could be going for a walk. It could be nothing. It could be watching a show. One show, right? And then you go back to the physical work. Or if you are mentally exhausted and it's super intense with the mind, go do something with your body. Go work out. Don't think about it. Don't look at your emails for 30 minutes. Do something to take your mind off of it. When we do this, we are able to balance that scale back and forth. And what happens with the energy side of things, instead of being this rapid rate of diminishing returns, it'll go slower and you'll have more energy throughout the day. So hopefully by the time you go to sleep, then you can refuel and it goes back where you can do it all over again the next day. So when we understand how to balance rest and intensity, we understand that intensity can happen with the body and the mind, and rest can happen with the body and the mind. We then play this game of going back and forth the entire time. And there's no perfect place to be. Everybody's different. But when we understand this side and when we are on E, we need to choose ourselves to refuel. We need to put ourselves in a position to recharge. We need to rejuvenate the physical and the mental capacity so we can see progress over time. So that's what I want you to think about today. And maybe you're going, Kevin, this is so obvious. Well, are you putting it into practice? Because if you're not putting it into practice and you're not aware of when you're on E, this isn't going to matter. And this is just information. Without application, information is just noise. But when we start to apply it and we experience, then we can see some positive changes happen over time. And that's what I want you to take with you today as you are moving forward. When you know who it is that you want to be and your purpose and where you're going, which we'll touch on at another time in more detail, you become more aware of when to rest, when to be intense, and where your energy levels are. When we can do that over a long period of time, that's how we see progress. So, if you use this, great, let me know. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, because I'm going to make more of these videos, and I want you to enjoy them. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk with you later.